Okay, welcome everybody to this channel. This is Arun Mehra here from Samara Global, and delighted to have on the podcast, video, what do you want to call it, Vipul Kataria from Virtual Clone today. And hi, Vipul, how are you doing?
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, well, pleasure to have you here today with us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And it's yeah, well, I know there's a huge reason why I've got you on this call. So you've got a lot of experience to share, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity for myself and people on my LinkedIn, YouTube, and other channels to get an idea and understanding of who Vipul is. Okay, but more importantly, also about your experience, especially in the accountancy outsourcing industry. So let's crack on. Let's go ahead. So tell me, Vipul, give us a bit of background about who you are and how you got into this industry.
Okay, so I basically belong from a small town in central India, and I did my studies here. Then I moved out for my higher education, and then when I started my career, I was working with some manufacturing companies, and I was in their HR department. So I had nothing to do with accounts at that stage. I started my career as an HR professional, and everything was going great. I did it for a few years. Good work environment, good place to be. The only challenge was I was living too far from the family. It was just so far that I used to come to my hometown once in a year to meet friends and family, and that's pretty much what I was able to manage. So at that stage, I started thinking of doing something here, and that's how the idea of virtual clone came in. So I thought, why not start an organization here which can offer meaningful opportunities to everyone who is from this place, so that they don't have to move so far away from their families. Because I was doing a lot of work in HR, I thought it will be good to start in the recruitment space, and that's how we started initially. So we started offering our services to anyone who is looking to have pretty much like a RPO. We're working with a lot of recruitment agencies, a lot of HR departments, and that's how we started. But from the start itself, the idea was to provide all sorts of professional services and support, offer support in a variety of domains. So after doing the HR bit for a few years, we went into finance. I had not much experience in finance at that stage, so I started, my ACCA journey as well at that time, and then I completed it a couple of years down the line. And then, you know, once we went into finance and we started doing some work, we realized that it's a sort of a profession which suits a bit more to the sort of human capital we have available in this region. And as a result, though we kind of started with finance a bit late, if I look at the current team setup, we've got more team members supporting, accountants, and comparatively a smaller number supporting recruiters.
Okay, amazing. Well, interesting story. So one interesting thing is that I understand you're in Chittisgarh, is that right? Okay. So that's not your normal type of town you expect people to doing outsourcing or offshoring from, like Ahmedabad or Delhi or Mumbai or Gurgaon. So how did you go about doing that?
I mean, to be honest, it wasn't that challenging because, they call it to some extent, they call it a small town mindset. I don't know why they call it, but that's a common word, used in the industry from people coming from 2 tier or 3 tier cities. But what it also means is, and what that small town mindset means is, people coming from these areas, they try and always, put in some extra yards. They value the opportunity more than people coming from bigger cities. And that's what exactly happened when we started, working. We realized that we have a great potential. Team members who were joining in, they were putting in a lot of hard work. They were eager to learn. They were eager to develop, and it made life a lot easier.
Yeah, so that's fascinating point because I think so many people think it's the metros, the big metros that you have to be running this type of business from. But the challenges with the metros I've seen myself is that people move jobs, people change jobs, and the stability may not be there for many firms. Okay, whereas in somewhere like where you are, that there's, I guess you've got kind of not people for life, but the teams are a lot more stable. Am I right?
It is a lot more stable, and also they, you know, want to learn because they know this is something different. This doesn't happen every
Yeah.
day in these kind of cities. So they want to learn and grow with the company, which is amazing.
Well, amazing, amazing. So you've been doing this how many years? How long have you been doing this?
So we have been doing it close to 10 years now. So first couple of years we were mostly doing HR. Then 2016, 17 we started the finance domain as well. So that one is relatively new, maybe 8 years. HR has been
Okay,
for 10 years now.
sure. And in the types of clients you deal with, what type of clients are you dealing with typically?
So this is where, a lack of experience didn't help us to start with. And when we started, we thought we need to offer, bookkeeping support or accounting support to small businesses in the UK. And that's how we started. So we were working with a lot of small companies, and we were doing our best. But I think 12 months down the line, we realized that we were not growing enough because of the technology and automation. You can pretty much have one team member handling, say, anywhere between 8 to 10 small businesses. And to deal with 10, 12 small businesses, it becomes a job in itself.
Yeah,
And I think 12 years down the 12 months down the line, we realized maybe this is not the best approach. We should try and help and support accountancy firms rather than going after small businesses. And that's where we changed the way we were doing things a little bit. We kind of started working with accountancy practices, and that's where all the growth came in, because once you tie up with, say, even if it's a smallish accountancy practice, they bring in maybe 25, 30 clients for whom you need to do bookkeeping, and you can have a small 2, 3 member team working for them.
yeah. No,
So
interesting.
at this stage, we don't try and uh, work so much with small businesses. We are generally working with accountancy practices, pretty much acting as their back office and helping them deliver the work.
Sure, sure. Okay. So now you started this over 10, 15 years ago, and has a lot changed in the industry in your view?
It has. So when we started, we were using some really traditional tools. I mean, I don't want to name them, but it's pretty much felt like we're doing a lot of data entry at that stage. Now, though people talk about automation and things which are going to come in future, but I think this industry has changed a lot already, and there's a lot of things which have been automated, and so that there's a lot of change which has already happened in the last few years. And I think yeah, there's a lot of automation in place, a lot of tools in place. The ways we were doing things is completely different. When we started, you will have a accountancy practice where a client will walk in with a bundle of papers, and then they'll scan those papers to us, and then we'll look through scans, we'll segregate them, we'll pretty much create a folder like, okay, this is a quarter end September folder. We'll have a big scan of say 100, 150 documents, and then we'll split this scan like this is bank statement, this is supplier
Yeah.
statement, purchase bills, sales invoices. That's how it used to be. Now there's nothing like that. Everyone has a scanning tool in place. People are taking photos from their mobile phone. Those are directly going into HubDoc or Dex or whatever scanning tool is
Yeah.
in use. And then from there, we simply pick up that information, publish. A lot of data is also auto-populated. So we are doing the analysis, we are doing the review, and if we are happy with what is, what the tool has done, we just go ahead and publish the record.
Yeah, I remember myself when I started, well, maybe 15, 20 years ago, and I used to have someone in my team in the UK who was just permanently hired just to scan documents, okay? Because the clients wouldn't scan them, they'd send the documents into the office and by courier or post, and I have someone full-time scanning all these documents going in, and then those documents, they'd go onto a server, and then we'd transfer those on an FTP server to people in India to do the work. So you're right, the technology has changed immensely. But now, where do you think it's going to go? Where do you think the technology is going, and where do you see the kind of accounts offshoring space going?
I think it's going to be a lot of low level tasks will go away, and there's still a bit of it happening where things are still a little bit manual, but I think they'll go away and it will become more of a, things where you will be involved into analysis, review, uh, predictive analysis to some extent, where you're trying to tell them how their business is going, or that kind of thing, rather than just recording purchase and sales and filing VAT returns.
Yeah. And where do you think the opportunities are for Indian CAs or Indian accountants to benefit from this, especially with the global workforce issues that we see across the world?
I think the opportunity is huge. And with the technology nowadays in place, it's very easy for them to integrate to a company based anywhere in the world, and have access to their resources and basically start working from there. Because of the technology, it's a lot easier. Also, uh, generally speaking, when we look at uh, the way Indian CAs are working, they are still using those old-fashioned tools where there's a lot of data entry and things like that involved. So there's a lot of learning as well for them, but the opportunity is huge, particularly with all the developed countries running out of accountants.
Yeah, I concur with you. I think the opportunity is huge for the younger generation. And just before speaking with you, I was speaking to a 27-year-old CA based in Gujarat, and he'd started off his offshoring firm maybe a couple of years ago, and he'd been dealing with lots of small clients in the US predominantly, and he echoes what you were saying in terms of he realized that you're not going to grow by dealing with lots of small little clients. It just takes up too much headspace, and the business is a challenge in itself. And but he also sees the opportunity as massive. And I personally agree with you guys, both of you, that India is perfectly placed to do this. Okay, the technology, the English speaking, the young workforce, the accounting knowledge, all of these things are the opportunity and the exciting opportunity for so many Indian accountants if they want to get into the kind of global kind of accounting space. Um, okay, so an exciting time in this arena. So what's next for you, Vipul? Where are you hoping to take your firm?
Oh, we have always, had a thought process that we'll have to grow slowly because of a variety of reasons, including the fact that we are based at a location where we won't be getting people who are readily available to work. We'll have to onboard them, we'll have to train them, and it's still the plan. So if I look at what we have done in previous years, we have typically grown, say, 20-25% year on year, and I think that's the best way for us. Also, what we have noticed is, and this is where it's slightly different when you compare the Indian space with UK or Australia. The quality of delivery has to be a lot better when you are working in this outsourcing space. It has to be spot on. And particularly when you look at the scenario where we are dealing with accountants. They know their clients, they know what to expect, and they'll expect a perfect sort of delivery rather than having something which is slightly off. So that's another reason why we want to take it slow. We want to onboard people, train them, make sure they are sticking to the standards which we are trying to deliver, and then slowly.
Sure. But what do you think are the biggest challenges you faced or facing, and what do you think the biggest challenge many other CA firms, if they're going into the space, will face?
I think first is the mindset itself. The first challenges they'll face is the mindset itself, where they'll have to understand that a lot of things are going to change, and they have to be mentally flexible to accept those changes rather than trying to do things their own way. They should be really, willing to adapt. So, like for example, if I look at a typical CA practice in India, the most popular, if they're working in small business space, the most popular tool they use is Tally. Now, Tally is very similar to an old-fashioned bookkeeping tool you will get in UK. It's desktop based. You pretty much type in everything. It works in a very traditional way. Whereas when you look at the work which is happening in UK, a lot of things are automated. So you have to start from there. You'll have to be very flexible in terms of aligning yourself to the technologies which are in use rather than sticking to your ways of doing things. And that becomes challenging if particularly if you have been running a practice for say 10, 12 years and somebody says, let's change your whole world, it becomes a challenge.
So mindset, you think, is a big thing. So I agree with you. Is that mindset is key to this whole thing. So if you were starting again today and knowing what you know, okay, on your experience, how would you go about starting up an accounting, an offshoring firm?
I think there were two things which every time I look back, I think we could have done differently. The first thing, and this was really painful when we started, was we thought we can work with, we basically had two target markets, one in Australia and one in the UK. So we wanted to grow at in both the locations side by side. And I think these two countries are big enough, there's enough potential, and we could have just said that let's start with one place, and once we have built it to a certain level, and we feel that we are not able to grow, maybe we look at the second location. But we went the other way, and we thought we can do both side by side. What it meant was that from day one, pretty much from day one, we had to run two shifts. So we still have a morning shift and we have a noon shift, and it becomes a bit of a stretch where you have an office which is pretty much operational 18 20 hours in a day, which is a lot. And then it's a management challenge. It also drains other resources as well. So that's one thing which maybe we got a little bit wrong, and we could have waited a few years before thinking of another country. The second thing I would say is, if you're looking to grow quickly, then probably the best way to do it is try and find a local partner who is like basically accountancy practice, rather than thinking of going to small businesses, because one, those small businesses may not be open to outsourcing or working with someone who is based. Generally they are not. They're like, I need someone whom I can speak to, whom I can meet, with whom I can discuss my issues and get solutions. So it may be better to work as a back office of a accountancy practice rather than going to small businesses. It also increases a lot of time and effort spent in customer service, communication, and that kind of a thing, which to some extent I feel that if you have a typical finance professional, they are more into let's do the numbers first, and put everything in the back burner. So that's not probably a strength of a finance professional. So you will have a pretty much a customer service team and a finance team if you want to do it that way. So it's better to work with accountancy practices if you don't want to stretch it initially.
Sure. Okay. Then. Very helpful. So that's the two top tips there, really, for especially someone starting out in this industry. Because I've spoken to people where they get into the industry, but they stagnate because they're I suppose there's a term they use here in England. They're busy fools. They're very busy, but they're not really making a lot of money because they've priced themselves perhaps too low. They've got a lot of clients, and they've perhaps got the wrong type of clients, and they can't get themselves out of that scenario. So it's so important to get these things right, find the right type of clients, choose the right target market, and be able to price yourself as well. Because I think if I looked at myself, most UK firms, certainly UK firms, and even US firms, I'm pretty sure as well, they're not looking for a cheap solution. Okay, they're looking for a quality solution. Okay, represents good value for money, but they're looking for quality that's the priority. Okay, if you have a priority, if your priority is quality, and you can deliver that in a cost-effective manner for yourself, and you can still make a margin, that's what you'll get, and then you'll get more business day by day, week by week, in that respect. So I think that certainly echoes your thoughts echo my views as well, Vipul. So last thing, I guess, to ask you, well, there's a couple of things to ask you, but what's your best advice to someone in the industry or starting in the industry, to a young 25-year-old thinking of getting into this? What's your one piece of advice you would offer them?
I think a lot of times, when I meet people who are going to get into industry, they always keep on asking the questions around how to do sales and how to do business development. But I think it's equally important to focus on setup. It's equally important to understand what other bits and pieces you're going to need. because just to give you a bit of example, when we started working in accounts outsourcing around 2017, we were in touch with a relatively big accountancy practice, and they wanted to send work our way. But they started asking questions for which I had no answers, or most of the time I was saying no because we were not set up correctly. For example, they started asking, "Do you have a professional indemnity insurance?" And I'm like, "No, I don't have one." Then they started asking, "Do you follow certain ISO standards, or do you have cybersecurity systems in place?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we have something in place, but maybe it needs a bit of work." And that's when we realized that if we wanted to work with a well-established accountancy practice from UK or from Australia, we have to set ourselves up correctly. So we need to have those basics in place, because even if you spend a lot of money on business development, you get some leads, you won't be able to convert them unless you have got those basics in place.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
good IT policy, if possible, get yourself audited from a reputed agency, get ISO 27001, get ISO 9001, which is quality management system. Make sure you have got a good professional indemnity policy. Make sure you understand GDPR. Make sure you are doing GDPR training with your staff so that they understand what their responsibilities are just in case something comes in. So making sure you are set up correctly before you even start looking at getting business, that will be a big help.
Agreed. Okay, well, very, very helpful. Now, I know for everybody who will watch or see this in the future, Vipul's going to be attending our event in Delhi in December, and we're going to be very lucky to have him come and talk to the attendees. What can they expect to hear from you, Vipul, at this event in Delhi?
I mean, we have been, as you know, we have been in the industry for 8 years. We've had our ups and downs. So happy to share the journey. I'll be really pleased if we can get some advice wherein they can kind of fast track their growth, get into industry, and smoothly grow quickly. So the area which I'm expected to speak is around technology. So what sort of technology is popular in the UK market, and how you can learn those tools, and how you can set yourself up correctly for that kind of journey.
Well, thank you, Vipul. That's brilliant. I think, as Vipul said, Vipul's going to be joining us at the Mehra Global Summit in December, on the 14th and 15th of December. We look forward to seeing Vipul there, but also just running this event and hosting as many people to come. And if you haven't got your seat yet, please do book your ticket on the website. But all I have to say is, to end this lovely webinar today, is thank you, Vipul. Much appreciate your time. We look forward to seeing you in December. You've obviously gone through the journey, and I think you can share a lot of experience. Okay, like myself, I've got more grey hair than you, that I can share to other people. And I know there are a lot of young people who want to get into this space in India, and it's not easy. I know that. It's not easy. There are challenges, structures you've mentioned just briefly, setting up the structure, the marketing, getting the clients, all these types of things. But if you do it and you persist, it can be very, very kind of good as well, and lots of opportunity there as well. And to summarize, I think India is perfectly positioned to be not just the back office of the accounting world, but more like the middle, and at some point soon the front office of the world. Okay, for accounting. And if I look at my own firm, my own Mehra, my UK firm, I have my team now in India are liaising directly with clients, talking to clients directly, doing tax returns, accounts, everything, because of the caliber of my team, okay, who I've trained, who I believe are good, okay. They have an Indian accent, so what, okay. If the client is getting what they want, the job's getting done, they're happy, I'm happy, the team are happy. And I think that's where it's moving to. I think at some point soon, it won't just be the back office, it won't be just the middle office, it'll be the front office for accounting firms. And I think that's when it gets even more exciting. And I think we'll be discussing a lot of that around the communication challenges that are there, but that can be overcome as well. So thank you, Vipul. Thanks very much. And wonderful. And we'll make sure that people share and watch this and get this out there.